Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Punaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadidamastu Ma Vitvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Have you ever thought about silence? I'm fascinated with the topic of silence, and today I want to talk about how the practice of cultivating silence on a conscious basis is going to enhance your Reiki practice. If you are a Reiki practitioner, and if you are not a Reiki practitioner, give you some food for thought, because this act of consciously going into silence will actively improve every aspect of your life. And if you're thinking about becoming a healer, a Reiki healer, this will be relevant to you also. Namaste and welcome to the Spiritual Wealth Podcast. I'm your host, Alexandra Savitri Amba. I'm director of the American Reiki Academy and the Vedic Healing Center. I'm a Reiki master, Vedic healing priestess and master, and spiritual guide. I've practiced and taught spiritual self-development and healing for more than 35 years, led pilgrimages to India, and studied with blessed Indian gurus. In this show, we cover topics related to metaphysics, Reiki, Vedic healing, yoga, manifestation, spiritual growth, and feng shui, based upon my studies and work in these disciplines. The aim of this show is to help you awaken, develop, and tap into your spiritual power in order to live well, manifest your dreams, and ultimately fulfill your unique divine destiny. So today's episode, as I mentioned in the introduction, is about silence. And before you stop listening and say to yourself, this sounds like a boring topic, I would like to invite you into this space, into this idea, this presence of silence through me talking to you today, which is a bit of a paradox, but of course I am wanting to explain this topic and how it relates to your path as a healer or as an aspiring healer. So today I want to give you probably about 5 to 7 points about silence and how this is going to enhance everything that you do as a person walking around this world, and ultimately as a healer if you are drawn to this path. So the first thing I want to tell you is that silence is where Reiki actually occurs. See, many people learn Reiki and they want to know what to do. Where do I place my hands? And although the hand placements are very important, it's in the allowing of the Reiki that the magic for the client and for you occurs. And that allowing happens in silence. So the more you talk or think or even try to make your Reiki work, the more you interrupt the flow. The flow is going to exist in you being in stillness. Silence during a Reiki session is not an absence of anything. It's a presence. And we as human beings are used to output, but doing Reiki is a way of connecting with input. You are allowing a flow of energy to come through you. So it is an opening of your field, and that can only happen potently when you are silent. So this is why I encourage practitioners to move into that space during a session. We've all had body work sessions, I think, where there's been conversation. I don't know if you've ever been for a session where you felt like the practitioner was talking too much. It's a very interesting experience because you're there paying for the session, wanting to relax, and the practitioner is talking to you uh, in a way in which you feel is actually inappropriate. It's actually the practitioner not understanding her craft and needing to speak, but that is not the time to speak, and certainly not with the client in that kind of space. So there's also been the other kind of experience where you go for a session and you talk during the session. This is also something I kind of dissuade people from doing, because your receiving of the energy, whatever the body work is going to occur more potently if you can move into silence. So the second point I want to make is that many people are actually afraid of silence and don't realize it. We go about our days and we have constant guidance, music, talking, input again. So we're used to filling a space. And filling a space is actually, with activity or with speech, is actually a lack of trust in energy. Silence, being in silence and being brave enough to consciously cultivate silence represents surrender. So you're surrendering to that quiet and allowing whatever needs to come through to come through. So the third point I want to make is your power as a practitioner, as a healing practitioner, deepens in silence. Think of it this way. Every time you do a Reiki session, you are given 1 hour of bliss. This is why Reiki is so fascinating, because you as the practitioner derive great benefit as the energy moves through you. So when you can stay in silence during the session, your sensitivity is going to increase. Your intuition is going to become much clearer. And you will begin to feel subtle energy instead of just moving through the hand positions of Reiki. So don't be afraid of this silence. Know that it is calling you to deepen. And in that depth, you will derive great wisdom, great peace, great insights, and more, many, many more benefits of silence. So those are just some of the things that might occur for you as a practitioner. Now, the fourth point I want to make is being in silence, whether it's during a Reiki session or, because when in this episode, I'm really talking about consciously cultivating silence. So that can be in meditation. That can just be a choice to not speak when you wake up for longer periods of time. I think I've spoken about this in an episode. I love to do this. So I love to see how long I can go without speaking in the morning. Now, naturally, as a practitioner, you're not going to speak because you're going to move into your daily practice. In India, we call this sadhana. But there's also the speaking of small little things to housemates, to people around you, to eventually when you leave your meditation practice and you go out into the world, to neighbors and so forth. But I love to see how long I can stay without speaking to anyone, because I know that silence is like repetitions at the gym. It's going to benefit me. So silence, back to point number 4, silence shifts you from doing Reiki to actually being the energy. So let's think about that. Silence shifts you from doing Reiki. So you learned Reiki in a class, and you learned hand positions, and you go through that sequence. And maybe you chat with the practitioner, with the recipient a bit, or you ask her, how is this feeling, or what's going on in your life? And you start to do that in your Reiki sessions. If you can instead not have a great amount of dialogue, you're going to shift into being the presence of Reiki. It is okay to sit with the client in the beginning, of course, and talk to him or her about why they're there for a session. But as you move into the session, I think it is very important that you know that staying in silence while doing Reiki is going to become less of technique and more of you actually stepping into the energy, merging with the energy, embodying the energy. Reiki is going to become a state of being, not a session that you do. And you will feel it, and the client will feel it. So that brings me to my next point, which is that the client feels silence, even if he or she does not understand it. Your sessions are going to become deeper without needing any explanation. See, the nervous system responds to stillness, to peace. And that stillness and peace get cultivated through silence. Silence also, it communicates something. It communicates safety and trust. It also communicates peace. So your clients will feel this. And this is why I encourage a meditation practice alongside of Reiki. I often say Reiki is like the universe has just gifted you an hour of meditation, but that does not mean it is a substitution for a meditation practice. So this brings me to my 6th point, which is about the discipline of silence. Silence is an active practice. It's you choosing in many moments during your day also not to speak, not to interfere with energies around you. It is also a meditation practice. So let me explain this a little more. You have your meditation practice, and then you also have the discipline of choosing that meditation practice during the day. What I mean is, if something is occurring around you that is disharmonious, or maybe it is just activity, maybe it's not even disharmonious, you have the choice to remain in silence. And that way, you are bringing your meditation practice into the world. They say bringing your yoga off the mat. So this is a discipline where you are consciously in every moment choosing to bring your presence out of your meditation space, out of your Reiki space, out of your off the mat, off the yoga mat, out of your puja room. Puja is a Sanskrit word for practice, a ritual practice. So we do pujas, we do offering ceremonies. So you're choosing to bring the presence that you've cultivated in silence into your life. It's a discipline. It's an active discipline. It's an awareness in every moment. Where is it appropriate for me to speak? And where is it appropriate to be silent? You see, all the time when there are problems that occur, we want to jump in and offer our solutions. But sometimes the best solution is to be in silence and to allow the situation to work out for itself. And the last point I want to make is where to start. So you can start engaging in silence in your sessions, in your Reiki sessions, during the session, pausing between hand positions and really identifying with that space in between the hand positions. And of course, cultivating your meditation practice, which is a whole other episode, because that is a beautiful and comprehensive practice that is going to bring untold benefits to you. Another way you can start cultivating silence is in your life, letting go of needing to fix things, do things, or even know what's happening, because that's also a way of engaging. My Reiki master said something funny to me once. I just thought of it, and I'll see how it pertains here because it just came up in my mind, so I want to share it. She said to me, I was talking about some situation that was upsetting me, and she said to me, "What are you afraid of?" And I said, well, they're I sense they're talking poorly of me. And it was hurtful to me. It was somebody I didn't know very well, but had had an interaction with. And she said to me, she said, "Don't worry." She said, "Human beings do that." She said, "All day long, all we do is talk about one another." And I thought it was so funny because it was true. If you notice, from the moment you wake up, you might feel inclined to talk about somebody around you, something you saw, some situation in your life. It's really an attempt to learn, to compare yourself to other people, to figure out if you're doing things correctly in these kind of subtle comparisons we do. But I want to suggest that going into the silence is going to bring you great peace. So if you feel, I hope that was helpful. I don't know, that just came up, so I thought of it, and I still laugh about it because I think about how affected I was in that moment. And it was some years ago where I was quite upset that somebody had misunderstood me and was going to speak badly. And obviously, we have no control over what people are going to say or think or do, but you do have control over your own inner space and how you react and how things affect you. And that is why going into silence is going to be so magical, because ultimately, once you cultivate this silence, whether it's in Reiki or in meditation or in yoga, you are going to be in a state of bliss in many instances, because that silence will spill over into all that you do. And it will help give you the strength and the fortitude and the wisdom and the peace and the sense of humor, because I'm still laughing about that situation and how much it saddened me and affected me, that I didn't want this person to speak badly of me. They had misunderstood me, and I ultimately I wanted harmony. I wanted love. I wanted understanding. I wanted peace, and I was frustrated because I knew it wasn't going to occur in this instance. But the silence is where I found peace, in cultivating my silence, so that no matter what misunderstanding occurs around us, what interactions occur with around us, we can always have that reservoir of silence. It's kind of like a drink of bliss, a drink of the best water you could ever have, the silence. And that's why Reiki is so magical, because you are actively cultivating a silent space when you are doing Reiki. Sometimes people look at a Reiki session and they wonder, what's happening? What is she doing? Well, the practitioner is moving into the subtle energy space that lives underneath everything. And that can only be accessed in a silent space. So I hope this was helpful. If you feel drawn to Reiki, I want to tell you it's a beautiful technique, and it's ultimately a refinement of your inner state. And that inner state is calling to you. Om Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Om Sai Ram, Jai Guruji. Om Amriteshwari Namaha. Hare Krishna. Om Namah Shivaya.